Alright, let's bring the music down as we normally do at the start of the stream. Come on, YouTube. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Saturday, 29th of July, 2023. This is Humcast number 72. I am Jay, also known as Hum Along if you can't say... Hum Along if you can't sing along. Say it with an H. I hope everybody's having a good afternoon so far. It is hot as hell, so I am inside. And I recently hit a milestone of 400 subscribers. And so that got me thinking about a project that I've been working on here and there, off and on for about a year. In fact, when I first started doing these, it's on the internet, IRL, weirdo streams, whatever you wish to call them, the village of Carpentersville was the first thing I wanted to do. So I pulled out the stuff that I'd put together over the years back out last night. And I think I've got it all put together where I can paint a picture of how things began and how this turns into the most dysfunctional fucking city council in quite a while. What makes it remarkable is this took place in 2007. If you compare that to now, you can just type in city councilman goes crazy. Eric Mays from Flint, Michigan comes to mind. Millions and millions of hours of police body cam footage. We just know it's going to be there. But 16 years ago, that wasn't the case. I'm pretty sure this is the first documented case of a local government soap opera being chronicled on YouTube. And it is fucking great. How these videos came to YouTube was that there was a resident named Grant Crowell, and he was just getting really pissed about how inefficient the village council had become, so he invested about $4,000 in video equipment and began filming the council proceedings and then uploading them to YouTube in a playlist called The Worst of Carpentersville. And courtesy of Grant Crowell's dedication and his investment, we have these videos available to us today, and we'll be working off of that playlist for the video portion here in just a moment. But before we begin, let me take a deep breath. All right, let's get started. I wanted to give some background on this town, where it is, the history, and that sort of thing. So, let me zoom in a little bit here. So, Carpentersville, if you can see, where we at? Hell, even I lost it, right? Right here we go. This area here that's highlighted in sort of a dotted red, as you can see, it sits exactly 40 miles northwest of Chicago. Alright, so it's a pretty small area, right? The 2022 census estimates have it at about 37,288. I want to go down here to the race and Hispanic origin. Currently the town is 47%, and the town is also 53.1% Hispanic or Latino. Why that's important is because all this began in 2007 when two members of the village council decided to band together and make English the official language of the town. They also wanted to find landlords, and they wanted to find businesses that hired illegal immigrants, and they wanted to force any employer who hired any Hispanic worker to force them to learn English. It's pretty fucking nasty. But Crowell got involved when the council wasn't handling this like mature adults. Personalities start coming in place of principles, and the whole thing went to shit. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read a quick byline from a wonderful article that was written in New York Times Magazine by Alex Kotlowitz, August 5, 2007. And this should be pretty brief. Just listen along as I read here. When I first met with Judy Sigwalt and her fellow village trustee Paul Humpfer this past April, they were understandably feeling assured, if not emboldened. A few weeks earlier, with the endorsement of the two local newspapers, they were elected to their village board on the platform that their town, Carpentersville, Illinois, should do everything in its power to discourage illegal immigrants from settling there. They vowed to pass a local ordinance that would penalize landlords that run into illegal aliens illegal aliens and businesses that hired them. They also pledged to make English the official language of the village, which would mean discontinuing the practice of printing various notices, including building code violations and the monthly newsletter, in both English and Spanish. The third candidate on the slate also won, giving them a majority on the board. Sigwalt and Humpfer considered their election a mandate. Indeed, many in this village considered them heroes. Their supporters wear buttons that read, "Illegal means illegal," and "I'm tired. Are you? Ask me why," with the sickly-looking bald eagle wrapped in the American flag. Stay classy, America. At that first gathering, we sat at Sigwalt's dining room table, trying to keep our voices down because the 4 toddlers whom Sigwalt cares for as part of her daycare business were taking their afternoon nap. People feel like they're not in their town, Humpher told me. They feel alienated. In the 1990s, the texture of the town changed significantly. An estimated 40% of its 37,000 residents are Hispanic, a jump from 17% in 1990. And this has not sat well with everyone. Humpher and Sigwalt insist that their stance has nothing to do with this demographic shift, but rather with the contingent of undocumented immigrants living in the town. There's no way to measure the actual numbers, but it's probable that a sizable portion of the Hispanic population living in Carpentersville is without papers. Nationwide, the Pew Hispanic Center estimates that 1/5 of all Latinos are here without proper documents. And I should note that this article is from 2007, so these are 2007 statistics. One priest at Santa Monica, a local Roman Catholic church, estimated that more than half of the 3,500-member congregation is here illegally. The American taxpayer, Sigwalt told me, is becoming secondary in their own country. What a load of horseshit, and that's just the personal opinion of old Jay Humalong, say it with an H here. But this paints a picture of what they were trying to do. So here are the current stats of the town. Right now they sit at about almost 38,000 people as of the 2020 census. Median household income, not too bad, 73,105. That's 5.95% one-year growth. This is actually a pretty notable number here. The 2020 poverty rate was only 12%, and that was an 18% one-year decrease. And the median age actually is pretty young, which typically implies a younger family base, and I'm guessing starting out middle to upper middle class, somewhere in that range. In terms of socioeconomics, the town is split by a river, I believe. Let me see if I can zoom in on that, because it's sort of got a bit of imagery to it. It's this river that divides the east part of the village from the west part of the village. In the east part of the village, you have where mostly working class whites and the Hispanic population has largely settled. There are more instances of poverty over there, more rental homes, higher incidence of crime. And over here, on the west side of the river in West Carpentersville, you have the wealthier, more affluent side, where I think the average house in this area is $150K, versus across the river, where I think the price is about $35K. I point out that statistic to give an idea of the disparity that these people are facing. So what we're going to take a look at starting now are these wonderful council moments from Grant Crowell's fantastic playlist. All right, I think I got my stride here. A little shaky there reading the first part of that article. So the first one in his playlist is the most popular one, called Most Outrageous Government Board Meeting Ever. And it's likely that you might have come across this when you were searching for outrageous government board moments, outrageous city councilmen, councilwomen, things like that. So to get you started, this gentleman right here is Bill Sarto. Bill Sarto was village president from 2005 until 2009. So you've got Bill Sarto, you've got Judy Sigwalt, Paul Humpher. Paul Humpher and Judy Sigwalt are the two that banded together their political clout to pass this English only and these other referendums that are clearly targeted at the Hispanic community and are just racism at best. Bill Sarto, in my mind, he's kind of a shitlord, and that's why I like him. When you see him deny motions from one person to the next, or as he did earlier, he tries to introduce a motion to make coughing illegal in city council meetings, he has a little shit-eating grin on his face. So we'll let him roll. I will pepper these in with all of the exposition that I have. I wrote a summary in the description of the YouTube video that gives an overview of all of this stuff. Let's go. I think we've got enough to get us started.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Trustee Ramirez-Lewinsky.
Discussion.
We're waiting for a second.
He's going to wait forever for the second. No one's going to give it to him. He won't let the
Still
motion
waiting
die.
for a second.
You ought to know you're not going to get one. You already made your speech, and so we don't want to hear it again, to be real honest with you. So you're not going to get a second.
I understand, Trustee Sigwalt.
I'm just asking a question. How long are you gonna wait?
Yeah, well, I'm,
Falcon, I have no opinion on that with regard to the stream. Like I mentioned in the description, this isn't about the politics of it. It's just about how they took a policy that nobody tackled head on realistically and dealt with it for what it was, and they just let their own bullshit get ahead of it. And this is what became of it.
still waiting for a second. Still waiting for a second.
Attorney Rose, is there any time limit on how long you have to wait before a motion dies for lack of a second? Or are we gonna sit here till midnight?
I'm going to sit here till midnight, bitch.
Time limit. The board has the right to make a motion as it does in all other instances.
Okay, is there any procedure,
I
that
might
we
need
can
to
do end this?
I might need to put the volume control for Chrome in place here.
And the waiting, you mean?
Yes, yes, end the waiting and move on. I'm glad you think this is funny.
It is.
I don't think it's
Not
funny.
you. Yeah.
He's laughing too.
It's ridiculous is what
He's
it is.
laughing.
It's not funny, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if the board determines that the time limit for making a motion is done, someone can make a motion to determine that there has been no second and move on to the
Okay.
next item.
I'll make that motion that there has been no second, ample time has been given, and it dies for lack of a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Look how he's
Okay.
not even responding to it.
Say something.
No, because there was no second.
They just
DSP logic.
had a second, so now
Well, they
we
just,
discuss
On a
that.
motion to move forward, not on the original motion.
We can discuss the motion to move forward.
yeah.
Okay, I'll discuss the motion to move forward.
I'll discuss the motion. Check out Oakley Dokley, councilman
I
here.
have the motion to
Hold
move
on.
forward.
This is Walter. I like to call him Councilman Ned Flanders, and we'll learn more about him later. And remember this, Bindergate. It's going to be very important later, and it's very important to this man. Super important.
I have to say, from all the emails I have received from many, many residents and phone calls I have received from many, many residents, that I am very disappointed in this board. That members of this board have attended many meetings talking about improving our image.
Oh, that's a good. She touched on something really important regarding image. As I did my research on this whole saga, there's a good number. There are a good number of headlines that came out between like 2008 to 2012 about how the village wanted to improve its image, and they did try to scrub these from YouTube, and they were unsuccessful. And I should also point this out too. 2007 was before the housing crash. So when we were in the bubble, not all the houses were selling, but it was very easy to acquire home ownership during this time. And so that might help paint a picture for the economy, the attitude, the mindset sort of the people.
And your lack of wanting to discuss this issue shows that you do not care about this community nor our image. As I have said, not only have I received emails and letters from residents in this community, I've received them from across the country. This is not setting a good example to our community. This is not setting a good example to any community. This is not what I want for our community. This is not why I ran for office. This is not the example I want to set for this community. And I'm ashamed of this board because you're saying this is acceptable behavior in our community. And as President Sarto said, you are very much saying this is a sanctuary city for abuse.
You know, I would just add to that, and you know,
Call the question.
we're not calling the question, we're talking about this.
Here we go.
this matter here because
Call the question. He's got a right to call the question.
he's got a right to call the question, but I'm just saying that I also have a right to respond.
No, you don't have a right to do what's not legal. This has not been seconded,
What's
which
not
shouldn't be any
legal is what this
discussion.
board does every
There was no
every
second.
2 weeks.
There's
And-
no
There was a
discussion.
second. There was a second.
There was a second to can this thing.
And move on.
Not to backdoor
That may have been
discuss
what
it.
your interpretation was of the second, but that's not what the second was.
Really, I did the
Yes.
seconding, and I seconded trustee Sigwalt's motion to,
To move
there-
on.
Die for
The
lack of
motion to
second,
move
so
on,
we were
right,
moving on. So
right,
that's
right.
what the second was. The second was
And
not
we're
for initial.
discussing
and-
the lack of a second.
We had discussion by trustee Ramirez-Slawinski, we got our lecture. Now, trustee Humpher called the question, he has every right to call the question, and Robert's Rules of Order is when you call the
We're
question,
not-
there is no more discussion.
We're not
You call
operating
the
under
vote.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Oh, because it's convenient to you now?
No, because we have our own rules.
Wait. Trustee Sarto is correct. We don't operate under Robert's rules, but our rules,
Sarto, thank you.
I'm sorry, President Sarto, but our rules do indicate that when you call the question, that issue is non-debatable.
Right. And
So you
discussion.
do have to, under your rules, call for the vote. The vote is to determine
It
whether
does,
or not
Rowdy. I
there's
feel
been
like I'm back in
sufficient
school,
debate
too.
on the issue of determining that there's been no.
And shout out Falcon 1651. Shout out Rowdy Boomer. It gets a lot more animated after this video kicks off.
Second.
Thank you for the clarification. The question's been called.
It's just more of the same stuff when they don't want to hear what other people have to say.
No
They
debate.
shut
We don't
off
want
the
debate,
debate.
do we?
It's
in
okay
this
when
town?
they do it. And
We
when
don't want
nobody
debate
else
in this
does
town.
it, it's okay.
Only when it suits certain people do we have debate in this town.
The question has been called.
Yeah, the question has been called, all right. The question is, why are you people sitting on this board? That's the question.
The question has been called. We need to take the vote.
No, the question is, why are you people sitting on this board? Who do you represent in this community? That's the question. Who do you represent?
I guess we're sitting on here to make sure you don't ramrod everything you want.
Ramrod?
Yes.
Ramrod?
Absolutely.
Ramrod?
Absolutely.
Trustee Ritter, you are, I hate to say this.
Thank you, Ed.
I really hate to say
Oh,
this.
you won't hate to say it. You'll love saying it. Go ahead, say it.
No, I really hate to say this because you should be a person, especially a school teacher.
Right.
who
All right.
should be
Call my
concerned-
employment into
who
question
should be
now.
concerned about the standards of this community.
Bill, I've listened to your lectures all
Oh,
night.
yeah, I
We've
know
spent
you've
an
listened to
hour
my
of tonight
lectures.
listening to you
Yeah,
lecture
unfortunately,
us.
nothing ever sinks into any of you people.
I think that we already are waiting for Coronta actions that you
Get 'em,
requested
Bill.
from the state's attorney's
Yeah,
office.
don't worry,
And
they
Get
will
order, Bill.
happen, believe me. So whether
Establish
you
order.
guys
Well,
want
why
to
are we
take care of
being
this,
preemptive
or
of-
somebody else is going to do it, we could
The
we could
question's been
clean our
called.
own house as we ought to do. But oh no, not this town, not this board, not these people.
If there was a
I hope the
recall
voters out there
ordinance,
are
you'd
watching.
be gone, Bill,
I hope
and
the
that'd be the
voters
end
are
of
out
it.
there watching this because they're going to see what kind of representation they have on this board.
And
there
This
was
is
a recall,
disgusting.
And President Sarto,
It is
you'd be
disgusting.
gone, Bill.
President Sarto, the
We're tired
voters,
of you.
President
You're gone.
Sarto, the voters
I'll take the
also,
96-6 vote every day of the week.
they also know of the double standard where your police report says you threatened to kill your wife, and this is misdemeanor.
I
Now,
was
let's
not
move on.
charged with anything,
move
Trustee
on.
Sigwalt.
That's all
I was
right.
not
Let's
charged.
move
I was
on.
not charged with anything.
The question's been called.
And don't you ever defame me in public.
Question's been
Unless
called.
you
It's
want to
okay
be,
for you to defame
Let's
unless you want
go.
to talk to my attorney.
Oh, please, it's okay for you to defame us, though.
No, I'm not
The
defaming
question
you.
has been called.
You guys are a
The senior
disgrace,
trustee-
all of you.
Right to
From the
that.
convict at the end
Terry.
to the woman whose
Terry.
son had sex with the convict's wife. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a town. What a beautiful place. Yeah, go sit down, folks. Terry, call the roll.
Please, thank you.
Yes.
Big ups, Hood Hustler. Welcome to the fray.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
He's not letting it go.
That was just on calling the question.
I understand. We didn't have a motion.
Yeah, there was a motion to end. So there's a vote
Hold on, wait.
on the motion to end.
You can't see it now, but
Okay,
watch
Terry, call the roll
Or
again.
I'm sorry, on the
watch that icy wrist of Bill Sarto as he flexes it back in the camera. He's got that nice gold watch on. That's that village council money right
motion
there.
to dying for lack of second.
Call the roll again, please.
Call the roll again.
Yes.
Trustee Hines.
Yes.
Trustee Sigwalt.
Yes.
Trustee Ramirez-Lewinsky.
No.
Trustee Ritter.
Yes.
Trustee Teeter.
Yes.
President Sarver.
No, and you'll all live and die with that vote, believe me.
So that's a classic quote that a lot of people reference. It's a small group of people like me that are into really weird niche communities, Carpentersville being one of them. You're going to live and die by that vote is like a common meme.
We're getting threatened. I'm glad it's on video.
No, it's on the record for the voters to decide.
My name is Bob Sperlazzo.
Okay, now we're going to start and to get to what I like to call the gravy seals public comments forums. You get a lot of dudes that look like this. They basically look like David Spade went QAnon. Short men with balding mullets, always got on, clothes to make it look like they actually work for a living. And they have these wonderfully prepared 4 or 5 page statements about how immigrants are so bad and dangerous.
I live in Carpentersville. I'm a resident here and a businessman. And I was recently
If that dude doesn't own a record store that specializes in progressive rock, then he's got the wrong look.
elected to serve this community as the chairman of the Fox Valley Citizens for Legal Immigration. With your permission, I'd like to ask if my coworker could just pass the
Why don't we get a bit more-
literature. This is just an introductory brochure for the group, and there's another piece to which I'll refer in just a moment. I appreciate the time that's been spent on this matter of illegal immigration so far, and I am confident that in the end this board will come to a reasonable conclusion toward working together on the matter of illegal aliens that live amongst us. Some of us have worked together in the past on various things. As I have discussed this issue with people
There
on
you go.
both
Thank
sides
you.
of opinion,
All right, so I've got the playback set to 1.1 speed, just to kind of move these along a little bit. 1.25 won't work well because there's a lot of interaction that's going to start happening between members of the village council and the different people that come up here and speak about the different things. So let me know if this is an okay speed. If not, I can turn it back down.
I have repeatedly stated that this is not about race.
Bullshit.
It's about what's legal. Those who choose to play the race card
And let me reiterate once more, I don't give a fuck about the political part of this. My enjoyment of this is that they let a hot button issue like this even come to the table. The village didn't address it, and then they had this major meltdown that we were fortunately able to catch on camera. That's the spirit right there.
show themselves to be racist indeed. But we do not need to debate this matter on that level. Let's keep it above board and discuss it in terms of abiding by the laws of the land versus some who choose to exploit the system by jumping ahead of the line of their fellow citizens who are following the law. Here are some facts. 2/3 of Americans want immigration in general reduced in order to slow population growth, according to recent polls. This
Oh, yeah, and something else I need to point out really quick regarding the demographic shift in this community. These were first-generation Mexicans who were from the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, like Michoacan part of Mexico. I think it may be near the Yucatan Peninsula. We'll look it up here in a minute after this video is over. Statistically, second-generation Mexican immigrants, 88% learn English. That's pretty good.
would include immigration from any nation via any border, especially those who enter here illegally. But it's evident that the immigration debate has suffered from a lack of discussion about one of the central issues, immigration's influence.
This guy has had an old car on his lawn that he's, quote-unquote, going to totally fix up this summer for about 25 years.
On local population growth. The U.S. Census Bureau projects that if current immigration rates are allowed to continue, This country will add well over 100 million additional residents by mid-century, which, with most of that growth being caused by immigration, and with a large number of those immigrants entering illegally.
If you'd like a quick math lesson, I'll give you one. 50% of all statistics, they're made up on the spot. There you go.
Fortunately, I'm sure Carpentersville, we will share much more than our fair share of this increase in population. This poll asked likely American voters from different regions, ethnicities, economic brackets, and political affiliations if they thought this growth would have a positive or negative impact on their quality of life. The majority of voters from all walks of life across the board agreed that this growth would have a negative impact. 64% of all voters of the country said that the country needs to reduce immigration numbers. And broken down, Democrats, 59% agreed. Independents, 59%. Republicans, 74%. Asians, 64%. Blacks, 72%. Hispanics, 57%
Blah, blah,
agreed.
blah, blah, blah,
Blue-collar
statistics.
addiction to remedy the problems. In response, I would like to point out the other flyer that I gave you, and that is a Section 287G flyer of the U.S. Immigration and Consensus Bureau. It's the
Oh, let me read to y'all a flyer that Sigwalt had someone pass around. Now, Sigwalt didn't pass this around. She had somebody else pass it around. I haven't found an image of this flyer, but in order to get Sigwalt's campaign going for this anti-illegal alien legislation, she had a pamphlet that said the following. Are you ready? Are you tired of waiting to pay for your groceries while illegal aliens pay with food stamps and then go outside and get in a $40,000 car? Are you tired of paying taxes when illegal aliens pay none? Are you tired of reading that another illegal alien was arrested for drug dealing? Are you tired of having to punch one for English? Are you tired of seeing multiple families in your homes? Are you tired of not being able to use Carpenter Park on the weekend because it is run over by illegal aliens? Are you tired of seeing the Mexican flag flown above our flag? If you are tired as me, then let's go out and vote for the All-American Team. Finally, a team that will help us take back our town. Absolute and complete bullshit. I've heard the same statements made. You could swap out quote-unquote illegal immigrants. It's just code for Hispanic. In this case, Mexican. You could put Black. You could put Asian. At the turn of the 20th century, you could put Italian. You could put Irish. It's the same xenophobic bullshit. But just bear in mind that all of those statements were on a flyer that went out to 60,000 people that Judy someone officially endorsed. Unfucking believable, even for 16 years ago.
Immigration and Nationality Act, which you have in your hands, and it has some yellow highlighting on it. It provides for federal,
I hope you guys enjoyed the dramatic reenactment of that flyer there.
state, and local resources, including local law enforcement, to play a critical role in protecting our homeland security, because they are often the first responders on the scene when there's an incident or an attack against the United States or a threat to the public safety. Section 287G training.
Again, sorry, I know I keep popping this. A huge one to put in effect as to why this xenophobia took shape. Post 9/11 mindset. This is only 6 years since the World Trade Centers were attacked. The plane went down in Pennsylvania, and the attack on the Pentagon. So during that period, I'm not sure who was around, who was alive, or how old or whatever, but I was in my 20s during most of that time. Every single day was code yellow, code red, code brown. There might be terrorist attacks. We've heard some chatter that there's a remote possibility that there could be consideration of a terrorist attack. Nothing but just nebulousness. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans, at least from my experience, just began to have a vague distrust of one another, especially if they didn't know each other. Now, you factor in people who are coming in from another country and are trying to assimilate in your community, you get an idea of how people's mindsets were. None of it is a right mindset to have. I just wanted to point out what the mindsets were.
Enables local communities to join in a cooperative effort to close the gap where a national police presence everywhere would be ineffective, if not impossible. In closing, I will read the words of former President Teddy Roosevelt, who said,
Okay, we will now move to trustee reports. We will begin with Trustee Sigwalt.
First of all, I would like to express my disgust at what is allowed to go on in this boardroom at public comment, when we have rules of decorum and when we have rules in place to stop this behavior. We talk about our village's image, and many times I've said that image starts with us. And to have our leader allow this stuff is really displaying poor, poor image. The public comment from Mr. Kalyazinski was not appropriate. It had nothing to do with village business, and attacking our police chief when he is not even here is inappropriate and not fair. And as Manager Anderson said, certain department heads they don't have to be here when there is nothing on the agenda for them to be here. I just wish Mr. Anderson or President Sarto would have said that when he was going after the chief instead of allowing him to finish.
We don't engage in debate in public comment.
Well, you know what? When it's attacking, I'm sorry, it should be cut off.
I'm sorry, Trustee Sigwalt, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but that's why I brought it up.
Now, this is Judy Sigwalt, the woman that we spoke of at the beginning of this stream. Remember that she and a guy that you'll meet later named Paul Humpfer, both on the board, aligned to try to push this referendum to the table, the one where English was the official language only of the village. It didn't get passed at that time because at the same time, at the Supreme Court, they were hearing the case of City of Hazleton, PA versus U.S., where the City of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, passed a motion like that and attempted to actually enforce it upon their Hispanic community, knowing by and large that a portion of them may be undocumented or just scared to deal with authorities. But the matter was taken up with the Supreme Court, and while that was in litigation, all they could do was introduce the motion and have it on the table and try to come back for it later. Judy Sigwalt also owns a daycare, and that will come into play a little later. It was her son that had sex with her political partner's wife. So when Humpher came home and found her son in bed with his wife, he beat his wife up with a baseball bat. Yet after all this, and he beat her son with the bat too, but yet after all this, she still remains aligned with Humpher. This is how fucked it gets.
A manager's report,
Right,
because
but
I thought it was important
it
to
should
say.
be cut off at the time. As far as going on and reading from law books and everything else, this behavior has got to stop. It seems that it is allowed when it benefits you or your personal agenda with playing lawman. As far as the other gentleman,
Here we go.
regardless who it is, when something happens, and I'm sure everyone has something in their closet, when something happens and reports are drug up.
Just imagine this, right? She's talking about everyone has skeletons in their closet. Everyone has ghosts in their closet. How is that in any way an aspect of official municipal business? It's not. This is the level they let it get to, though.
That are a number of years old. It should also be noted that there is no reason to drag it up because restitution has been made, the judge ruled, and the case is closed. Now, why this has to continue is beyond me. It's continuing all for political reasons. And that in itself is a travesty. I would hope that certain individuals up on this board would think more of this village than their personal agenda.
Get him, Judy.
While walking the village, I came upon many, many code violations,
Here we go.
and I thought that I would help our department out. And I have made a list, Cindy.
She just legit put together a list of work that she's going to make these motherfuckers do. How wonderful. And I have been in city council meetings quite a bit. Like about 10 years of my career, I worked with public safety, first responders, and local governments. And this kind of shit happens all the time. Some council person that has fuck all to do with the inner workings of government happens to go, oh yeah, well I was walking down the street and found all these code violations. Can you take care of these tomorrow morning? And they know that the person has to do it. And you're in that room receiving the assignment, you have to smile and take it, call back and coddle. The personality thing at the local level is astoundingly worse. Not worse, but the reality is so much crazier than any fiction you could write.
I also have a picture of a lean-to that was built on a balcony that has been there for many months that needs to be taken down.
Bear in mind, too, that these code violations are only related to houses or residences occupied by Hispanic residents in the city.
I have the address here,
She's doxing.
so when the meeting's over, I have this for you. Thank you.
Fernando Laya,
That's this. So this guy, I can't remember his last name, is Raul something. He fucking hates Paul Humpfer. Again, Paul Humpfer is the village councilman. I think that this is him right here that caught Sigwalt's son having sex with his wife and subsequently beat her. This is great. This one I liked more.
Fellow North Americans, I was reading the newspaper after I've been absent of trying to do the boycott in Carpentersville due to my health issues. I also battle a type of cancer. So I'm just going to read something that I found very interesting on March 22nd on a Daily Herald regarding the allegations of one of the people here present abusing his wife. I'm going to read from public records.
Let's see that again.
People here present abusing his wife. I'm going to read from public records. This is what it was being written by the victim. And
President Sarto, this has nothing to do with village business. And if you allow this,
let's go.
This is a travesty. Now,
No, it's
you
not.
personally said people will not be attacked up here on this board. This is nobody's business.
Trustee Sigwalt, if you recall, people have read articles.
I mentioned in the video description as well, Bill Sarto hates Sigwalt and Humpfer, like really hates them. And so anything that can put on public record to besmirch their character, he's all for it.
From the newspaper before at this microphone, you know, you have done it yourself from your position over there.
He's going to read the report. That is not
I don't know what he's going to
proper.
read.
okay,
That's what he was going to do. You
Okay.
betcha.
I'll memorize it. The victim's report says that the person kneeled on her chest.
President Sarto,
Wasn't your objection that I was going to read from the report? No, I'm not reading it from the report. So what's it going to be?
This has been reported in the news. So
it's already done and old, and it has nothing to do with village business.
But what I'm saying is, it does have to do with village business because it has been part of the public record.
This always felt like a snow crawl kind of slow troll to me. Like it has, and they are right. At this point, I don't remember the date. It's already been put on public record that Paul Humpfer got arrested for beating his wife after Judy's son got caught having sex with his wife. But this guy comes to routinely, he will come to the village meetings, at least he did back in 2007, like once a month, and just be like, this is a reminder that Paul Humphrey beat the shit out of his wife. I'm not laughing about what happened in any stretch of form. That shit is aberrant. It's just that this is the level of petty that it came to in this village.
Exactly.
Shame on you.
Well, it has.
It's already been out in the public. It does not have to be
reset my time.
continually brought to this village board
Trustee
and
Sigwalt,
drugged up.
with all due respect, you know, other things that have been,
I'm not
you
violent.
know,
Don't worry about it. I'm
been
not violent.
reported in the media has been discussed at this podium.
Boy, the lowest of the low.
I mean, it just,
President
I guess it
Sarto.
just depends on what
The
person is
lowest
saying.
of the low you are.
Depends.
I guess it just depends on who's saying what.
Okay, so this person kneel on this woman, kneel on her to seduce her, hit her, and he says that it was in front of the kids.
I'm
It was
sorry.
in front of the children.
Do you hear the coughing? Is it peculiar to you that the coughing picked up after he started reading this? I'm going to back up and just one more time.
That it was in front of the kids.
I'm
It was
sorry.
in front of the children.
Oh,
This
please.
woman was abused.
He got caught doing it in front of children. Is that the guy? Is it really him?
Broken rib, children. This woman was abused.
Children.
Broken rib of the children. This woman was abused.
One more
Broken
time.
rib of the children. This woman was abused. broken rib. He says that he was taken to the hospital and he was not.
Sarto, it's all staged. He brought his camera and everything else.
The abuser, the abuser was not
Inappropriate.
arrested.
Where is the camera?
Right here. He set it up tonight and everything. This is all staged, and you're
I'm gonna buy
allowing.
you
Are
that
you
for
with?
$10.
Are you with him?
That's not, by the way, that's not his camera. That's Grant Crowell's camera, the gentleman who compiled these videos. That's where he sets up all the time so he gets a good view of the people that are coming up for public comment.
Him? Are you with him?
And his son, a little
ca-
one, was
I'm
setting
gonna buy
it
the
up.
tape for $10 either way. I'm gonna buy the tape for $10. There's nothing you can do about it.
You set up your own camera, sir. Fernando, this is all staged.
Same the same.
I'll tell you, if I was
anyhow.
sitting in this,
Okay, anyhow.
Wait a minute. Let me explain something. I have been told.
Holy shit, hold on a second.
The same-
Is that the devil in the background? Look at that. Look at Satan back here just chilling. Holy shit, check out these eyebrows. If you encounter this gentleman, do not fuck with him. The devil's in the back row.
I'll tell you, if I was
anyhow.
sitting in this,
Okay, anyhow.
Wait a minute. Let me explain something. I have been told that cameras are allowed in the boardroom.
Public meeting.
There's nothing I can do to stop cameras from being
can
used.
stop this personal attack.
There is no attack.
All I'm saying is that a
You guys are
camera being
public
set up here
officials.
is not a
You're
violation of our rules.
Once you become public officials, you're open. What you do, yes, and you guys know it. So anyhow, let me finish because there's time. I don't know how many times you reset it. I don't even know how many minutes I have left. Can I ask you?
We'll give you 2 more minutes. That's it.
Fine. 2 more minutes?
What did you say? Did you have?
Can I have 3?
I'd say he probably talked for 3 minutes. You get
Okay,
2
3
minutes.
minutes.
He's pissed.
8:03.
There you go, fella. Get
Okay.
him.
This person abused this woman in front of the children, and for having someone sending a letter to the
In
courier.
front of who?
Abused this woman in front of the children, and for having someone sending
Wait,
a letter
wait.
to the
Where did
courier.
he abuse him?
Abused this woman in front of the children,
Okay.
and for having someone sending a letter to the courier that this is a personal attack. No, this is a woman that was battered
It's the guy.
in front of the children. Now, how many of you men would allow?
Okay, so I want to point out, like, since he said, okay, I've got 3 minutes, let me go, he said the children 4 times, and he's only been talking for 15 seconds.
Your sister to be abused this way in front of the children.
5.
Everybody knows you will not allow that. Would you allow your sister to take this kind of abuse once over and over again? It's a criminal act, and everybody knows it. And it should be punishable. It should be pursued. Tomorrow I'm going to be looking for another ways to those people that take domestic violence, see what we can do about it. And soon, this should be investigated and punished. Illegal is...
I'd like to go ahead. This is, I think she is the stenographer, one that does the official minutes for these proceedings. And she's one to watch in these videos because she has some looks sometimes when certain people come to the podium. You know it's something, shit's about to go down.
It's illegal.
She's a good barometer of that.
A crime was committed and the person should be accountable for it. Now, there is another person here too that also calls that illegal is illegal. This person is running a business where their kids, these kids are in this home, living on a place where there's a person living there too, convicted of drug possession, several DUIs, battery to an assault to a police officer, and he threatened to kill a police officer. Will you leave your children with this on this kind of an environment? You will not leave your children on this kind of an environment. There is another crime. I would like to suggest to this meeting that you guys would reconsider to do a criminal background check, and all of you guys, at least every 6 months. And if anything happens, yes, criminal they do it in companies and factories. They do it on factories. I'm talking, it's not your turn. 1 minute.
Your time is up.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
That's it.
We'll see you next
illegal,
week.
huh? Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, real quick, I mentioned earlier that the first generation Mexican population there were from Michoacan, I think it was. Did they get it? Yeah, so right here. I'm sorry, right here. Michoacan. This is the primary source of the folks who immigrated from here all the way to, where are we at? Here. So just kind of look at Chicago, right? This is how far they went. From here, way up there. That has to be commended when you're working for a better life. Like, that's what's up.
That's
Good evening.
Looks like we have another part-time functioning alcoholic. What's going on, fella? Check out how he has his mullet tucked into the back of that members-only jacket. And we can't have those pants anywhere below the waist because that would just be cruel and ghetto.
the clock is ticking. Go ahead.
I'd like to talk about the ordinance, of course. I want to say a few brief things.
Which ordinance is it?
Okay, I want to ask y'all something as you watch this. And maybe I should put a poll. Is this guy drunk? I think I'll make a poll.
Which
Mike, could you hold the microphone up to your mouth? Thanks.
Which ordinance are you talking
How are we
about?
doing this? You know, the one. That one.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but we can't talk about the ordinance.
We're talking about the immigration situation, Bill.
You can talk about the immigration, but not the ordinance itself. That's been tabled.
So is freedom of speech in this town, you know that? I'm going to tell you something real brief so I can get out of here. I'm late for Chinese dinner.
Okay, so this guy, I put a poll up. I need y'all to tell me, is this guy drunk as fuck? Now, I want to give him a chance to explain himself, so I'll back it up about 20 seconds. And as you listen, you decide, is he drunk as fuck, or is it just slurring? Could be the gin talking. This guy, though, I'm probably thinking Thunderbird or Old Crow at best.
Clock is ticking. Go ahead.
I'd like to talk about the ordinance, of course. I want to say a few brief things.
Which ordinance is he talking
Which
about?
Mike, could you hold the microphone up to your mouth? Thanks.
Which ordinance are you talking
How are we
about?
doing this? You know, the one. That one.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but we can't talk about the ordinance.
We're talking about the immigration situation, Bill.
You can talk about the immigration, but not the ordinance itself. That's been tabled.
This guy's so fucking wasted.
So is freedom of speech in this town, you know that?
This is free.
I'm going to tell you something real brief so I can get out of here.
Yeah?
I'm late for Chinese dinner.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you something real
Let's
brief so I
just
can get out of here.
Start,
I'm
okay?
late for Chinese dinner.
One more time.
Okay. Go
Let's
ahead.
some.
Yeah, I'm really wasting my time. I'm late for Chinese dinner.
Dinner?
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really wasting my time anyway. Well, but here's the...
That's good, Hood. Jim Leahy's only had a couple of drinks. Just a couple of drinks, Rendinator.
Go ahead.
The deal is this. This is supposed to be the land of the brave and the home of the free. Just how...
Whoa. I don't think that's how that goes. It is land of the free and home of the brave, right? He chose to broke the law.
of the brave and the home of the free. The land of the brave and the home of the free. Just how do you think it got to be that way? It got to be that way because your heritage, your lineage, my lineage, fought to keep it that way, and that's what they're doing today. Only we're fighting for borders of other countries instead of our own. And that to me is a direct insult as an American. I have nothing but nothing.
It's funny how we put this guy's voice at 1.25. It seems halfway reasonable.
Against any culture, any race of people.
But you know, I can't do that because he's drunk as fuck. I took a poll. I have to honor that. We must hear this man in his natural habitat. Let's go.
But it seems to be, I don't know, there's something in the air that says stupid everywhere I go. Legal means legal, illegal means illegal.
The shitabus.
Simple, short, to the point.
Shit
That's
rope,
it.
Nebo. A shit
End
rope.
of story. I heard that you're writing a letter to Washington, D.C., the main spin masters of the whole world. Washington, D.C. isn't doing a thing for the American people. Period. Whether it's Bush or the next one coming in.
Yeah, and another good point out. This is George Bush's second term in office still. This was before Barack Obama's election in 2008. So it sort of paints a picture historically.
The only thing they care about And the only thing it appears this board cares about are the business people.
Stanley.
The hell with the business people, because we outnumber.
I agree. He does look like Stanley.
For them, like 100,000 to 1. We are the one that cast the votes. We are the ones that pay the bills.
He doesn't mean Americans. He means white people. He's just too fucking scared to say it.
Sure isn't the small little business people of Podunk, USA. This is Carpentersville, Illinois. I've lived here all my life.
And I think you drunk here all your life.
How about you? Obviously not. Things have got to change in this town, and they got to change quick instead of everybody sitting on their thumbs talking about it for the next year and a half.
This guy's a treasure.
And that's what I've got to say.
I want to take a look at that belly. Let's see what kind of alcoholic belly we're working with. Okay, so he's got that jacket buttoned right there because he wants to hide that belly, but when he turns, look at that. Holy shit, it's a DSP belly. See how it curves in? Oh my God. That's a tight little alcoholic belly right there. And I mean, like, not in a good way.
I'm a legal citizen.
Hey, we got drunk as fuck back for round 2. Let's go. I bet you dollars to donuts this is a fucking gun holster. Because, of course, you need the weapon at the Village of Carpentersville meeting.
Of the United States and of Carpentersville, Illinois. I had a stroke about 3 months ago. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So this is a stroke? I don't think that last one was because somebody confirmed that he was drunk.
I take several medications. And I
Yikes.
I wish you bear with me a little bit. And if I go over a little bit, please grant me that courtesy.
We'll see how it goes. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. I'm going to take the poll down. I feel kind of like an asshole now.
Right. That's
that might be happening.
That's what we don't want to see happen, so let's go ahead.
There's some things that I'm going to bring up in here that I think that should be said.
Yeah, I called this guy out for being drunk in the last one, even with a poll. If it was, in fact, a stroke, I'm really, really sorry about that. I jumped the gun. So, let it rock.
And that should have been said a long time ago. And to some limited degree, it should have been addressed by
Come on, fella. But we still need you to get moving.
And that's called illegal immigration. I'm going to touch on that a little bit tonight. Just a little. I was brought up to be respectful to all races, creeds, colors, and people. That's how I was brought up, to be a good American. Period. Come from a good family. Took a couple left turns in my life. But that was on me. But here's the gist of what I have to say. And the best way that I could put it together in a matter of a few minutes. Like I said, my name is Michael Williams. I am 7th generation citizen of this country. My children are 8th generation of this country. No matter what.
I'm gonna go. This is a little dry. Move on.
I'm sure you're aware that
Oh, look who's back! It's progressive rock record store owner back again. Let's see how illegal immigrants are killers. You get them, fella.
on Tuesday, November 28th, the residents of the Village of Carpentersville organized a town hall forum to host a civil community discussion with the village president. In response to the invitation to participate, the village president said he found the forum humorous and a waste of time. This, we feel, was a slap in the face to the village residents who suffer under the weight and fear.
Bear with me a second. I just want to see
I'm
where
sure you're
we
aware
are on our list.
that
'cause I
on
may be
Tuesday,
able
November
to
20
cut. Okay, yeah, this is wonderful. Ah, wonderful. Okay, we're finally getting to the showdown. Move up one video.
It is your opportunity now to come forward. Yeah, please.
I have to say that some of these objections are so ridiculous. They objected to my wife. They objected to Paul Humpher on my signature and my name on Paul Humpher. These people did not do their homework. Now, if you want this place to become like a Cicero, what prevents me at the next election to object to everybody's signature without doing my homework? And now we're delaying this whole process because the objector didn't do their homework. It's making a mockery of the whole thing. There are so many objections on these lists, it's ridiculous. We worked our butts off checking out all these signatures. We checked the Soprano signatures. Okay? There was 20 unregistered voters on it. Just a second, please. Give me a chance, okay? There was 20. But she had enough registered voters, so we didn't object to it. All we had to do was just ask all these fucking votes. Oh! We had to just ask all these fucking votes. All we had to do is just put check marks without doing our homework. Okay? If you got 100 signatures, Bill, I could object to every 100. What's going to prevent you from saying, well, what he did was illegal. He didn't do his homework. These people, Morales and Brown, did not do their homework. They just randomly made check marks. Now we got
I object to these accusations against my client.
I object to it.
There's no evidence for these sorts.
You're out of order. I'm out of order. This whole village proceeding is out of order.
How dare you interrupt me? Yeah. How dare you?
How dare you?
He had his chance to talk. Okay? This guy's a hired gun for Roser, okay? So I don't want to hear nothing from the All I gotta say is that these people did not do their homework. They're making a mockery of this. And is this going to happen every Carpentersville election? People are just going to check for just nonsense stuff. They're not doing their homework, and this is a travesty. And I'm saying that we're going to continue this. This is an outrage. Thank you.
Dismissed.
Oh yeah, this is when that dude threatens violence. Let me put this back to. Hold on. Let's go to 1 speed. Oh, I forgot about this.
Sorry. You are sorry. Sir, you want to follow your friend out the door? Go ahead.
Kiss my ass.
You're
And I'm looking to change you like a goddamn diaper. But you're full of shit. It was attorney to attorney. It was classified to begin with.
Easy. Sorry.
You are sorry.
Sir, you want to follow your friend out the door? Go ahead.
Kiss my ass.
You're
And I'm looking to change you like a goddamn diaper. But you're
I'm gonna change you like a goddamn diaper. That's pretty old school right there. That's like, yeah. That's some boomer age adage right there.
It was attorney to attorney. It was classified to begin with.
Easy.
That's okay. That's okay.
Really not okay. It is. No, it's not.
I think Sarto cusses on the next one. Let's see. Shit, sorry. Yeah, this is where he yells, and oh, this is a classic one. This is when Sarto's going to lose his shit here in a minute, and he's going to rage quit his position. So let's get started.
Members of the board, in the last meeting, the president stated that there would be no more discussion about the ordinance that we had been discussing. It's obvious that the president does not like the residents' input regarding illegal aliens during the public comment portion of the agenda. It's also evident that his interpretation of what's relevant may not concur with ours, as concerned speakers, given his own biases.
Bob?
This is not about the ordinance.
But it is about the subject that we have deemed.
No,
the problem is,
Hey.
let me just say this, and I'm not. This isn't a debate.
Okay.
The problem is that we do not have 4 members on this current board that's willing to discuss the illegal immigration issue. So therefore, it's not my decision, it's the board's decision that we do not further discuss this. So, you know, to categorize this as it being my decision, it was not my decision, it was the decision of the board by not having the willingness to second a motion on 3 different occasions to actually discuss this issue. So therefore, the issue itself is out of bounds and we cannot talk about it. We can't really talk about the decision that was made because that is the decision. So that's out of bounds also.
Well, Mr. President, I think the public comment ordinance clearly says there shall be no debate in matters raised during the public comment. And also, this is our comments of burdens. That we bear, not burdens that the board.
I was sitting there just talking, and the microphone was muted. So this video right here is 240p, and I don't think that that was the source upload necessarily. Just over time, YouTube downgrades some videos if they find content in them that's this, that, or the other. So it's a mix, but I do love the low fidelity feel because it really hammers home 2007.
Wants us to bring forth. We're bringing to you issues that we are concerned about, not things that you want us to bring. And this is merely repression of dissent, as I've stated in the past.
But as I said, this is a matter that has not risen to the level of village business, therefore it is not allowed.
Not
It's
everything
under
that
our
comes to
rules
you.
that we have adopted, that is our rules.
Mr. President, not everything that comes before you is already village business. It can become that.
The problem
but it has
is,
not yet.
Bob, we've talked about this for 9 months. We've decided that this board, this current board, does not
He's so familiar with this guy, he's just calling him by his first name now. Like, you know, Phil.
not want to discuss this at this current time. It doesn't mean at some time in the future this won't be fair game again, but right now, until this board decides to do that, it's not fair game, so I cannot allow you to continue.
I appeal the ruling of the president.
Yes, thank you very much.
I second that.
Okay, Terry, would you call the roll?
Trustee Humpher?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the...
He's appealing the rule of the president.
And a yes vote would be to allow Mr. Spilazzo to continue, correct, Attorney Rhodes? Yes.
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 Uh-oh, here comes Sarto.
Yes.
Get ready for...
Yes.
No.
Okay, so what might become what is coming up here might be the first documented case of rage quitting by a public service official, a civil servant, if you will. Let's find out.
Let me just remind the board before we continue here, you know, we have adopted rules. And what you just did was...
We're following them.
No, you didn't follow the rules because we agreed that things that did not fall under village business would not be allowed to be discussed. So if you're going to change the rules, you know, then that's another discussion. But the point is, the rules that we have adopted, I'm enforcing. You know, whether you guys want to, you know, overrule my opinion, you know, what you're really overruling is the rules that you guys approved. We all approved these rules that we're going by.
Follow the rules.
And
Hashtag rules.
If you say it's okay for people to talk about a subject that both our village attorney and myself agreed was not village business, even though, you know, we have made rules that we can only talk about things that are village business. So if he's allowed to speak about this, then I would expect the board to be willing to.
Remember that bling I was telling you about? Watch for the wrist. Flick of the wrist for Bill Sarto. Check it out.
Talk about it itself. Are you guys willing to talk about this?
Not in the format that it was currently presented.
Look at that. Look at that gold piece right there. That's what's up. Sarto's about stacking the paper. I should point out that before he became village president, Bill Sarto actually worked for the state of Illinois government for 29 years. He was retired from his full-time career working for the state and then became the president of this village in 2005. So he comes into this already with some clout, you know, with a little bit of money, with his pension. So he's going to floss that.
Pardon?
Not in the format that it was currently presented.
Well, then it's out of bounds because this is an item that we have deemed to be not village business.
I think a vote was taken, and I'm sorry, Bill, you lost. So you can just stop arguing because we've already voted to let the man speak.
Okay, so what I want to know then, have we overturned our rules that we adopted?
That would be something you could make during trustee reports. This is not a debate.
I'm
A
just
vote was
saying,
taken, it's
we
over.
have rules, Ed. We have rules, and if we're not going to abide by our own rules, then what are we doing here? Then what's the purpose of us holding meetings if we're not going to abide by the rules that we as a board have set?
May I continue?
So how long has that now been taking
Please
place?
restart the clock to 5 minutes.
Yes, would you start the clock for Mr. Spilazzo?
5 minutes.
Yeah, if you would, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sarto, may I be excused?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
And actually, I'm going to be excused too. I'm going to be in the back.
Okay.
There we have the first official local government rage quit documented on YouTube.
Am I allowed?
Good evening, ladies.
Oh, a trustee's husband threatens a grandmother, so get ready for the threat from up top.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need to speak to you regarding a situation that just happened to me right here in that seat no less than 10 minutes ago. When Linda Ramirez-Lewinsky got up and walked out of the room, I felt I was threatened. I'd like to know how each and every one of you would feel if two men leaned over to you and said, "You're all done! You're 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 all done! Hey, you're all done!" How would you feel?
I don't know. Let's find out one more time.
You're all done! 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 Hey, you're all done! How would you feel?
Why does she call the last woman out by name?
You're all done! All done! You're 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 all done!
Okay.
Hey, you're all done! How would you feel?
Calling her out
Would
by
you
name.
feel threatened?
No.
You wouldn't? I didn't think you would.
Just being honest, I don't
I
feel
bet
threatened.
Linda wouldn't be either. Okay? That is what
husband.
this two men specifically, he's even saying you did it. You did it.
I'm
You
sorry,
leaned over-
you're breaking
He leaned over to me
you're
and told me
violating-
I'm all
I'm
done.
sorry, but you're violating the rules.
Okay.
You cannot discuss anything
Okay.
with the public
Okay,
that's
this
sitting in
is
the
what
audience.
happened to me right in your rules.
You can hear Bill's voice cut up a little bit. He's so amused.
Here, in that seat.
You cannot discuss anything
Okay.
with the public
Okay,
that's
this
sitting
is
in the
what
audience.
Did you hear that?
happened to me right in your rules by the husband of one of the trustees of our community. That's a sad day. Sad.
Sad. Sad.
I'd call it threatening. The police, I told them, they told me it's up for interpretation. I'd like that interpreted by this board.
Yeah, interpreted is not a word. Interpreted is a word.
I'd like that interpreted by this board.
Not here to interpretate, pimp.
You can answer me during your trustee reports, anyone who feels to answer. No, he cannot.
It's not your
Now,
choice. It is
then-
mine, and I said no,
then-
he can't.
Thank you. I guess I'm just quicker than you.
No, you're just out of order, that's all.
Yeah, I'm
One
sure
more-
I am.
You are.
One more time. One more time. Little spice. Little spice from Sarto. Sarto spice.
No, you're just out of order.
Thank you. I guess I'm just quicker than you.
No, you're just out of order, that's all.
Yeah, I'm sure I
Spicy
am.
You are.
Sarto.
Well, enough of that. I have been upset, uncalled for.
I had no way of knowing that you were upset until you let us know. I appreciate that.
I think he should have been arrested. I've heard people in this room get arrested for pointing. Okay? Now, I asked you at the last board meeting.
Lord.
Where do we stand on 287G? We put in our application in November. I hear it reported on the news that Carpentersville is watching Waukegan. No, we've got our application in.
Yeah, so Waukegan also tried to introduce the same legislation in 2007 to officially declare English as the only language of the city, and that was also entangled in higher courts at the time.
Need to know where it stands. I also asked you, What does Viva la Raza mean?
Oh, boy.
I also asked you, is Linda Ramirez-Lewinsky
Sorry, out of
a
order.
member of Viva la Raza? La Raza?
Out of order.
Okay.
Out of order.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I was told what Viva la Raza means.
It means the race.
I was told it means long live the race. What race?
It doesn't mean race in literal definition. It means the people of. It doesn't mean race.
This is all over the top. We need to discuss this. I'm not going to be threatened by a trustee's husband. He told me if I say anything against her, he's taking me down. Okay? I'll get my 5 grandchildren, and they'll bite his ankles. How's that?
What in God's name is this woman?
Good evening.
So is Carpentersville the wife-beater capital of the world? I want to make sure that I allocate a respectful amount of speed-up time without letting this gentleman's point go across.
Good evening.
I'm embarrassed to be the largest employer with this kind of government. And I understand on the agenda tonight that you will be discussing the removal of Paul Humpher. Many of you are people who should be able to hold your head high.
Yeah, we could speed
that
him
have
up.
integrity in their home life and in their work life. But I have not seen that in your public life. And what I would ask you to do is to start to reflect on how you are reflecting on your own integrity and your own character.
Oh, this
we
guy.
have been known all over Illinois and in some places all over the United States as a town that has been led in turmoil with bad judgment and infighting. We are now getting rumored to be the wife-beater capital of the world.
One more time.
Getting rumored to be the wife-beater capital of the world.
Please.
That's it.
Becker.
Whoever made the comment over there, please remove yourself. I'm not sure who it was. Who is it? Okay, well, whoever it was, please remove yourself. I will leave it up to you to remove yourself at this point.
President Sarto, I also think Mr. Rozier should be cautioned on his words.
No, Nebo, this is a town only 40 miles northwest of Chicago. This isn't Illinois. 07, too.
You said you were not going to allow wife beater, those words, in this boardroom.
Good evening, President Sarto, trustees, citizens.
Oh, this is that shouting match between this guy and Sarto. Yeah, here we go.
And let's make it clear that now
Thank
we are
you
going...
for the privilege of allowing me to speak without interruption.
Excuse me, I would like to just make it clear that we are now going in, unless that last person was also from outside the village. I would like to just make it clear that we have people who are speaking here who do not live in Carpentersville. So if we would maybe make that designation. This man here I know does not live in Carpentersville. The last person that spoke, I believe, also does not live in our village. So,
And the person that spoke before him does not live in the village either. There are 3 of us that do not live in the village. You did not interrupt the first speaker.
well, I didn't recognize them, that's why.
The
I
first
do
speaker
know
that does
you
not
don't.
live in the village was Mr. Rozier, who proudly states that he is the largest employer in the village, but he refuses to live here. The village is not good enough for him to live in. As I drove through town since the snow has disappeared, I noticed that there is garbage everywhere. This town is a disgrace. Yeah, just like Mr. Rozier said, this town is a disgrace. We need to get it cleaned up. Anybody driving through here would think we were a big slum. This town is getting to be really ugly since the snow
Nice dog whistle there.
melted. I think we were a big slum. This town is getting to be really ugly since the snow melted. And I hope that you will all do whatever it takes to help everybody get it cleaned up. Maybe if somebody led an effort, maybe the residents, both legal and non-legal.
I want to point out this gentleman here has had enough. She's just doing her job, focused on getting it done, banging it out before the session's meeting. He is fucking done with it. I might be the city's attorney. I don't know.
Would take the point and help us clean up this village. We need to clean it up. Further to that, getting rid of Paul Humpher will not clean up this village. It will only make it worse. Paul Humpher does not have to hire thugs to do his work for him. He does his own work, does his own research, presents very good points. Paul Humpher is a good man. Paul Humpher works hard for this village, has worked hard for this village, and continues to work hard for this village. I appreciate Paul Humpher's efforts, even though...
You notice in the title it says Jay Radke in Shouting Match with Bill Sarto. This guy is so well known they put his name in there. How about that?
I live a whole half a block out of town, so it doesn't really matter to me. Except that you do accept some of my taxes. You do accept my money for maintaining your fire systems. So I think I have an equal say in what goes on in this village, whether my boundary is exactly inside the village or not. In fact, one of the allies of one of the people sitting on this board attempted to make me remove a campaign sign from my property,
So
saying
petty.
that my property was in the village and that the campaign sign was too large. Well, he was wrong by about 100 feet. My property is about 100 feet.
Imagine what little you have going on in your life when you take the time out of your evening, go to this village, and this is the shit that you present. Like, this is the stuff that keeps you awake at night.
From being in the village. Mr. Roser's house is way farther away from that than that from the village. Anyway, I support Mr. Paul Humpher. I think he is an excellent man. I think he's one of the fine trustees on this village board. There are other people that maybe should be gone. Some people that
Here
would like to
comes
be
Bill.
dictatorial. Maybe they should be.
Okay. However, at the meeting, the question was posed whether the attempt to unseat Trustee Humpher
Oh, this is when Bill loses his shit about the coughing, I think.
was due at least in part to the illegal immigration ordinance which he co-sponsored.
You know, sir, once again, I mentioned this at the last meeting, and that is that this has nothing to do with illegal immigration. This has to do with a person who has been convicted of a crime. This has nothing to do with the illegal immigration issue. Paul Humpher was found guilty of beating his wife.
Here we
That's
go
what this is
again.
about. This has nothing to do with illegal immigration. So if you want to make this about illegal immigration, that's your choice, but I'm just saying it has nothing.
Nebo, exactly. Like, that guy stood up there and had to shout down Bill Sarto with his, like, face all flushed red from anger and says Paul Humphrey does his research. Paul Humphrey makes good points. That is, but Paul Humphrey beats his wife. Yeah, one carries a little bit of a bigger mark than the other, I would think.
Nothing to do with that.
May I continue, sir?
You may continue.
Thank you. If I can remember where I was.
Well, you have it written down, so I'm sure you can figure it
Well,
out.
I wasn't keeping track with the pencil and the different words, sorry.
And President Sarto, I'm sure the time you just took.
You hear this snippy, passive-aggressive shit?
So on the different words, sorry. May I continue, sir?
You may continue.
Thank you. If I can remember where I was.
Well, you have it written down, so I'm sure you can figure it
Well,
out.
I wasn't keeping track with the pencil and the
Dude's hands are shaking while he's holding this paper, so he is literally shaking as he's reading this.
different words, sorry.
And President Sarto, I'm sure the time you just took does not
I
come to
will,
his time
I will
either.
allow him to continue.
Okay. However, the person handing out the signs and giving instructions is a well-known supporter of the illegal aliens. Also attending the meeting were two area real estate brokers who over the years have made a good living selling homes to the population targeted by the proposed ordinance. One of them took the opportunity to speak against Trustee Humphrey at the meeting. Did I mention that the man handing out the signs is or was involved in the home mortgage industry? Is it possible that the loss of personal income is the driving force behind?
You know, sir, I'm sorry, but you're totally off point on this issue. You're talking about illegal immigration. You're talking about mortgages. You're talking about Hispanics that are doing business in our community. I don't understand where you're going with this. Where are you going with it? Can you
I
give
was
me
in
a
the middle of
synopsis?
explaining this point when you interrupted me, sir.
Well, I'm just saying, what you're saying so far is totally off point, and
How can my
it's not
statement be
allowed
cohesive if you keep interrupting me?
because you're talking about something that is irrelevant to the topic. You're deflecting the issue. You're talking about something that has nothing to do with this case.
Excuse me, President
This is
Sarto.
supposed to be a statement, not a debate, sir.
Excuse me,
I-
President Sarto, what this man is doing is he is giving...
You know, Nebo, I co-sign that. This is 100% a boomer roast battle. But there are tons of people in this country that have so little to do that this is what they accomplish, and I'm putting strong quotes around that, when they get together as adults in official fucking government capacity. It is just crazy.
giving his opinion on something, the same way Mr. Kaluzinski just got up
I
and gave
disagree,
his
I disagree,
opinion on the
Trustee
court
Sigwalt.
proceeding.
I disagree.
Well,
Because he was there at the court when he...
it doesn't matter.
What he
If
said
he
wasn't
said, she
accurate.
said.
What
he said wasn't accurate.
What does this man have to offer to this subject?
I thought we're not supposed to debate the.
Well, what I'm saying is it also is supposed to be relevant to our...
Suspend the rules.
It's supposed to be relevant to our village business. This is not relevant to the village
It
business.
is relevant. He's talking about the removal of Trustee Humpher.
No, he's not. He's talking about immigration. This has nothing to do with removal of Trustee Humpher.
Well, it might. If he ever got to finish it, Bill, you interrupt him every 5 sentences. Let the man
Trustee Ritter, have you heard what this man is saying?
I'm trying to. You've interrupted him so many times I lost track of what he's saying.
Well, I am sorry, but you know, I am not going to put up with people who are up here to make this into something it isn't. That is ridiculous, and we're not going to lower ourselves, hopefully, to that type of base type of rhetoric that these people are going to use to try to deflect the real issue in this case. Now, if you have something worthwhile to offer, please offer it now. And if not, then please sit down.
Would you like me to submit this in writing before we say it, so you can edit it?
No, I don't want to edit.
I just posted into chat the article from New York Times Magazine that was written back in 2007. That's the one whose byline I read at the start of the stream. If you want some really good insight and ample exposition, that's a good article to reference. I believe you can use uBlock Origin and get around the paywall situation.
I just want you to understand that this is not about illegal immigration. We have made a point in this village that we are not talking about illegal immigration because this board has tabled that subject. We're not talking about illegal immigration, okay? So if you have anything else to say that's relevant, go ahead.
I guess that'll be judged when you judge it, if it's relevant or not.
Well, does it have to do with illegal immigrants?
What it had to do was the person handing out the signs and the persons that were speaking.
And do you know they were illegal immigrants? Well, I'm just saying, what is this man talking about? I don't get it.
Let him finish so we know.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Isn't the rules of public comments are supposed to be not debated? Is that not the rules of decorum? So they're to make their statement whether we...
And they're also supposed to be within the confines of village business. I have not heard one thing coming out of this man's mouth that has anything to do with village business.
He was making a comment pertaining to our village board meeting, the last meeting. So that is village business if it was at the last board meeting. He's trying to understand what was going on and why it was allowed. I believe that that's where he's going.
Well, I don't believe that's where he's going at all. I think where he's going is into an area that we have already said we're not going to go into.
I think we're prolonging the agony by interrupting him and never getting to the...
Finish your statement. Finish your
statement.
That's it. Finish your statement.
Jesus.
Okay. Is the possible loss of personal income the driving force behind the movement to unseat a good trustee? Today, as I read the agenda for tonight's meeting on the village website, there under
It's
new
another
business
Humpfer
and listed
supporter.
as item 6, slipped in between the purchase of a Ford F-250 truck and an agreement with the SEC Group Incorporated for Engineering Services was resolution.
And you know, Nebo, you hit the exact point that this whole thing sucked me in so much as it did. They let this really divisive thing that nobody wanted to deal with, it was trying to get pushed, ramrodded like through some smoke and mirrors campaign, and nobody wants to talk about it. They just all have their little petty agendas, and as you can see, their official government leadership did fuck all about it.
In determining trustee position vacant.
You're right, no one's in control. No one.
How casual is that? Let's buy a truck. Let's have some engineering done. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget to kick a good man while he's down. At the last meeting, we heard the phrase, infamous crimes, bandied about quite often. In my mind, if this board removes Trustee Humpher, or even attempts to remove him, that would...
Quick question for the chat and anyone that may be viewing this sometime in the future. Would you be proud to live in a town that was known as the wife-beater capital of America? Just going to put that out there, because Carpentersville was, for many years, behind this nonsense.
Would be the true infamous crime here. A crime committed against Trustee Humpher as well as the people of Carpentersville.
Here we go again, another Humpher supporter.
In closing, it is very fitting that today's meeting is being held on April the 1st, April Fool's Day. If the board commits this infamous crime...
This guy's been waiting for months for this particular meeting because it fell on April 1st and he could throw that little two-wit in there.
...of removing Trustee Humpher, the trustees who vote for the removal will be the fools, but the joke will be on the citizens of Carpentersville, who will be cheated out of one of their hardest-working representatives that they...
You know, so Paul Humpher worked as a financial analyst for Zurich Financial Services during this time. I often wonder if these are actually friends of his, or people he leaned on politically to force him to come in and make these statements, because these people don't sound like they want to be reading them.
They have. I'm very proud to consider Paul Humpher my friend and to offer these few words in his support. Thank you for the opportunity to speak my mind. And God bless the United States of America.
There's control. And I see that a lot of...
The classic Bill Sarto is going to ban coughing. He's going to try to. Let's see what happens when they want to ban coughing. Mods ban coughing.
This on the board. I really do. Because when it comes time to vote, I sometimes look down here by Ed Ritter and Kay Teeter. They're looking down at the other end. I see Kay looking at Paul and going like this. And what that means, I have no idea. But to me, control is control.
Let me just caution the audience tonight. You know, I'm not going to allow, coughing, snide remarks, laughing, and all those kind of things when people are talking. I mean, this person has the right to speak just as anyone else does, and I don't want this to go against his time, that he's speaking. So, I just want to warn everybody. Did
you see him reset his little clock there for his time? Precious little public time.
The audience tonight, because there was a situation at the last meeting where I attempted to remove some people from this boardroom, and I was overruled by some trustees, which I think was inappropriate, but that's a matter of opinion, I guess, and our village attorney didn't speak up, so all I'm saying is, I don't want to hear people out there making sounds while other people, snide remarks is basically what I'm talking about. It's going to be before us later this.
All right, I don't know. This might be the last one. I'm not sure, but if it is, it's going to end on a great note. I think we'll make it the last one. This will be a good swan song. Let's go. Bill Sarto is going to tell us about how Carpentersville is a bad soap opera.
This evening, and that is, the resolution determining the trustee position to be vacant. And I think it's important to bring this up because of the fact that, a lot of discussion's been made about this, talked about, and people have tried to.
Nebo, it's not just that either. It's that they were paid. It's that taxpayers paid for this behavior. And this is way back. I mean, it had to be going on in mass at different places.
Make it other than what it really is. I mean, the fact of the matter is what we need to do is, as a board, come to agreement on what is right in our community. And this isn't based on any personality. It's not based on any past differences that anyone has had with anybody on this board. But it's based on what is correct, what is lawfully correct, what is legal. And our village attorney judiciously put together a 5-page memorandum that I hope everybody took the time to read, because there was some very good information in here, I believe, concerning this matter. And, when I was at this seminar in Palatine, there was 10 mayors there along with myself from Cook County. And all 10 of those mayors expressed their concern about what was going on in our village. And I want to tell you, even the Secretary of State, Jesse White, had heard about the situation. Along with him was his assistant, Jill Zwick, who had been a former state representative here in this community. And Jill came up to me after Secretary White had finished his remarks. And I've known Jill for a number of years, and she said to me, Bill, I don't understand what's going on in Carpentersville. It's like a bad soap opera. What is going on in that community? And I just want to let you all know that people, whether you want to believe this or not, are paying very close attention to what is going on in our community. And it's embarrassing, frankly. When I get out into the community and I talk to other people around this area, around the state of Illinois, I hear disparaging remarks more often than not about our community. They don't understand why we have these type of things occurring. They don't understand why a trustee would do the type of things that one of our trustees has been convicted of and thinks that he can remain on the board.
So a lot of this conversation he's dancing about here has to do with removal of Paul Humpher from his seat. They want to remove his position, vacate the position, and then put it up for special election, which I think they could pretty much do immediately, probably according to their bylaws. So that's what he's referencing here, of course, the wife beater, Paul Humpher.
They don't understand it. They just frankly do not understand it. And they expressed those concerns to me. They said, quite frankly, how can anyone believe that they can commit a crime like that, be convicted of that crime, be charged and found guilty by a judge, and not step aside from that position? And you know what? I have the same concern. And here is, I think, a very
Get him, Bill.
part of the memorandum that Attorney Rhodes put together. And it says, when determining whether there is a vacancy in office due to the conviction of the office holder of an infamous crime, the test set forth by the Supreme Court is whether or not the act violated commonly accepted principles of honesty and decency. And I challenge anyone sitting in this room that lives in this town to tell me that we are now going to be known as the community that has a standard so low that we will allow a person who has been found guilty of a crime involving using a weapon against another individual to remain as a elected or...
Do you see how politically mealy-mouthing this is? Like, he can't just say, Paul Humpher, the gentleman who was found guilty of beating his wife, because then he could get sued. This is how snaky politics is.
A person in authority on our board. I find that incredible. I mean, and everyone I've spoken to that's an elected official has expressed the same type of outrage to me. There's right now a website that's doing an informal poll. And that poll right now indicates that 96 people who have logged on...
Oh, that informal website he's talking about, Bill Sarto created himself under an alias to try to drum up support against Humpfer and Sigwalt. That's the informal website he's talking about. That poll was never taken. That was him just creating a fake website.
...to this and voted. 96 people have voted that Trustee Humpher should be removed. 6 people have said that he should stay. 96 to 6. 96 to 6. So I just want to let you know that is...
Yeah, 96 to 6 on an unofficial site supporting the town that he made himself to try to put disinformation into the mix.
The overriding opinion, I don't care what the signs say out here that people are holding up, because these are all obviously people who are friends of Trustee...
Nebo, politics and more politics. It's really fucking greasy, man.
Humpher. And this has nothing to do with friendship. This has nothing to do with political party affiliation. This has nothing to do with anything but one item. And that item is, what is this community going to stand for? What are our standards? Are we going to be a sanctuary community for people who abuse their spouses? Is that what we're going to stand for?
He legit just called it a sanctuary city for domestic violence people. Abusers, rather. God damn, that's some shade. It's well-deserved, don't get me wrong. DVers are complete pieces of shit. A sanctuary city?
Is that what Carpentersville is going to be? What are our standards? Are we going to be a sanctuary community for people who abuse their spouses? Is that what we're going to stand for? Is that what Carpentersville is going to be known for? You know, there was a time not long ago when we were all asked, what do we want to see happen in this village? And the overriding opinion was, we need to improve our image. We need to improve our image. Now you tell me how supporting somebody who has been convicted, been charged, tried, convicted of domestic abuse, a domestic battery. And yes, it was a misdemeanor, but Attorney Rhodes also researched that situation. And it clearly states that infamous crimes, and an infamous crime is what is important here, because an infamous crime is what determines whether or not an office holder stays in office. And it's not limited to just felonies. It can also be a misdemeanor. He was not only charged with, he was convicted of 4 counts of domestic battery. That is a very serious charge and very serious conviction. He used a weapon in the commission of this crime. That is serious, folks. Very serious. I mean, would any of you sitting out here, any of you this evening, consider any of your loved ones who was treated in that manner to be unreasonable to request that that person, first of all, be punished for that act, and secondly, not hold a position of power in the community. That is ridiculous. On the face of it, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I would hope that this board, and I have faith in this board, you know, truthfully, we've had our differences, we don't always agree on things, but I have faith in this board that they do care about this community, they do care about our image, they do want us to move ahead, and until this cloud is removed from us, that cannot happen. And we need to move ahead. And this isn't about any personal vendetta, any personal individual, or any differences I may have personally with anyone on this board. This is about what this community needs to do the right thing. That's what it's about. It's about doing the right thing.
Another footnote, Jim Sarto remained village president until 2009. He lost re-election. I'm not sure what he's been doing since. That's the last I can remember of him.
It's about making good judgments. It's about doing what's good for the community so that people can feel proud to live here in Carpentersville. And that's very important.
You see how no one's clapping for this ceremonious bullshit? Because they all hate him. Let's see.
I am not.
It's going to be before us later this
sorry,
evening.
I did it again.
And that is...
I am not a liar. I am tired.
Here we go. Linda Slawinski tried to get my son for rape.
Of my family, my husband, my son being harassed, all because I believe a certain individual on this board was railroaded. He was railroaded by certain individuals on this.
Okay, now remember, her son got beaten by Paul Humpfer for having sex with Paul Humpfer's wife. Paul Humpfer and Judy Sigwalt are political allies who are trying to ramrod this anti-immigration legislation into their council meetings. Listen to who she defends over her son, over her kid.
Board. And anytime any one of you want to come over to my home, I have police reports. I have every fact and piece of evidence to back up what I'm saying, including Mr. Kalyazinski and a woman named Linda trying to talk Mr. Humpfer's wife into recanting her grand jury testimony and going after my son. Now, many, many people don't have a clue of what has been going on because unlike other people who have disgraced this village in their witch hunt, we choose to try and keep some sort of decency by not airing what's going on in the public. Sunday morning, my husband went out to get the newspaper, and in the bushes of my home was a flyer. It was the flyer that everybody received, act now, remove Paul, this and that. On the bottom was a message written. You don't support illegals, yet you support a criminal. Grow up, get an education, you low-class lady, crossed out white trash bitch. Now, the phone number on this flyer matches the phone number to Mr. Fernando Leve. And that came out of a police report. His phone number was on a police report. Ladies and gentlemen, no one has an idea of what's been happening. And you betcha I will stick up for Mr. Humpher because I've known him for 3 years. I've been in that house for 3 years, and I have seen the abuse for 3 years. Has it been on Mr. Humpher's part? No. I have seen what this woman has done to my home and my family, and then came up in my bedroom at night and insisted I didn't tell her husband. Nobody knows these facts. Nobody. But Mr. Kalyazinski and a woman named Linda tried talking his wife into recanting and going after my son for rape. My son has been hounded at his job. I almost lost my 28-year daycare license because they have interfered with my livelihood. My son had to leave our home. And like I said, anytime I have every fact and piece of paper and police report to back this up because I am not a liar. I want to go on record stating that I asked Mr. Anderson of all the billable hours that our attorney has spent on this crusade to get rid of Paul, and not just recently, but from 3 years ago. When President Sarto was elected, And he pledged unity, and the first thing he did when he took his seat was ask Paul to resign. So far, we are at $6,000 of your taxpayers' money on a personal witch hunt. And Manager Anderson said it would likely go higher because there are many calls.
Let me see what's left in this playlist because, let's see, Judy Sigwalt accused. Okay, cool. So we got 3 more after this. Now I can get this closed out in time. I didn't want it to run too long, so we'll breeze through those, close up, and stop.
From Sarto to Rhodes, Rhodes to Sarto with no explanation. I have also requested the billable hours for our police department and what they have spent on this, and the time wasted on a personal witch hunt from our president and taking them off the streets from protecting you residents. I know of one officer that says he spent 8 hours alone. I asked for copies of the letter to the Attorney General and to the State's Attorney because no one on this board was privy or had any knowledge of what President Sarto was doing. No one on this board voted to allow him to expend money on his personal vendetta. Your money. Now, I know there was a trustee on this board, Trustee Slewinski, calling women, appealing to their senses as a battered woman. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I too was a battered woman. My first marriage lasted 5.5 years, and in that 5.5 years, I was physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually abused. To the point where I left that domicile with the clothes on my back, the clothes on my son's back.
You know, I'm not doubting this has happened, and if this story did happen, that is fucking horrible. As a 6'4", 250-pound man, I'm not ashamed to admit I was the victim of a bunch of domestic violence in a previous marriage. It does happen, and it leaves scars forever. But to use that as an excuse as to why she backs the man who beat his wife because her son was having sex with that man's wife is baffling to me.
My 9-month-old son in a diaper bag. And I never went back. But do I believe that every individual that is convicted of a crime, do I believe they are guilty? No. How many people have been put to death that were innocent? How many people?
Oh, so now we're going to equivocate death row people with a domestic violence abuser. Nice.
People are behind bars that are innocent and are getting released on a daily basis because we have the technology.
Amnesty International for Paul Humpher, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we didn't have before. I know, in my heart of hearts, that Trustee Humpher is innocent. I have seen him with his children, I have seen him with his family, and I have seen his wife. And if it's sticking up for a fellow trustee, a friend, makes me a bad person, you know, then so be it.
They want this anti-immigration stuff to pass so badly. They're stooping to this level. Keep that in mind.
But I am here to defend the people of this village, stop his personal witch hunt, stop him spending taxpayers' dollars, your money, on this. And one other thing I would like to say, we received our attorney's opinion. And I, because in light of everything going on, and knowing what's been going on up here on this board, I had a conversation with Manager Anderson. I was very truthful to him. I said, I don't trust any of you anymore. None of you. Because all of you could have stepped up to the plate and done the right thing, and you haven't been doing it. So I sought out another attorney. No expense to the taxpayers. This attorney helped me for nothing because he's been watching what's been going on down here. The attorney gave me his opinion, which I disseminated to the board. The attorney drew up a resolution to stop Sarto from expending any more village money, postage, the name, and I disseminated that to the board. We received Attorney Rhodes' opinion. And in my opinion, we received a 5-page document that was mostly, in my opinion, lawyer babble. In the last paragraph, it puts it all back in our lap for us to make the decision. Now, the attorney I went to...
Village trustee.
Yeah, I think the last 3 of these are a bit more wackier than the previous, so here we go.
President Sarto, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the signs that are out here kind of speak for themselves. The judge said it, we didn't. Infamous crimes. What is an infamous crime? Well, today in the paper, in the Herald, there was a story about a gentleman in a cafeteria up in McHenry that touched a woman's breast and was charged and was given $20,000 bail and is waiting and possibly can do 5 to 10 years. Mr. Humpher's crime, basically what happened, he was found guilty on all 4 counts. And in the time that he was in court, the judge found him guilty. Now, on 4 counts. Well, the count that the gentleman did in McHenry to the count that Mr. Humpher did,
stay up.
one is worse than the other. The man touched a woman's breast. This gentleman lightly used a baseball bat on his wife. It was in the papers.
Lightly used a baseball bat on his wife has to be the absolute most tone-deaf description of someone being beaten. Holy shit, that's horrible.
And Trustee Sigwalt and her son testified. Their stories did not corroborate at all. That's what the judge saw. A crime was committed. In the beginning, before he ran for trustee, he admitted to what he had did earlier and said, I am still with my family. But yet they still voted for him. They talked about different issues about the Open Meetings Act, that these trustees were having meetings, and then he admitted again in the paper, I guess it's my fault. I did it. Well, you know, there is just so much out there. We were handing out flyers over the weekend, and one trustee did not like it in her neighborhood. Not only did she not like it, she ran after the gentlemen that were handing them out, demanding, because she was a trustee, she knew the law with another lady, and said, give me those flyers. Not one of them turned around and gave them to her because we already knew the law. We checked with the village. We checked with the attorneys. Can we do this? Absolutely. She took it upon herself to get in her vehicle and chase these people down. She stopped them. She put her car diagonally and on the sidewalk and turned around and did what she did. I filed a police report on this. And I believe that I have the right as a citizen of Carpentersville and to the United States of the Constitution that my complaint should be heard. Because
should be heard, not heard, but heard.
Because if it's not, the other suits that have been filed against this village, using her official name as a trustee knowing the law, instead of picking that phone up and calling and simply saying, officer, there's a man handing flyers out. Is it legal or not legal? She thinks she knows the law. She thinks she knows it all. But if it's not something she did or she thought, it's not going to happen.
All right. Oh, so this is why I referred to this earlier. I think we'll probably close with Bindergate. What is Bindergate, you ask? It's this thing that Bill Sarto has insisted upon. He's insisting that people are stealing paper binders that are government property for their own personal use. Yes, that's the genesis of this whole fucking video clip. And this is a perfect one, I think, to end the stream on. So we got 1.25 speed. We should be able to knock this out in about 4 minutes.
The last meeting, people were talking about home foreclosures and where they could get more information. And there was a website that was noted. And I went to that website, but I was a bit disappointed because I saw a lot of negative comments about board members, and I just was not happy about it. There was too much personal information that shouldn't have been there to be village, and everything. And it clearly, when you looked at this website, it looked clearly almost like a campaign of some sort instead of an information site.
This is that site I referred to earlier, the site that Bill Sarto created to feed disinformation to the citizens.
And I basically just wanted to, give a little reminder that, the village website's supposed to be for information only and not for campaigning.
And I'm going to refer to
Here we go.
Recent January 19th date when I was getting ready to file petitions for people to run for offices. And I had my petitions all bound up with binders like this, and I left my home. And just as I left home, Trustee Hines can attest to this, he gave me a couple of additional petitions that were not bound in my form yet. And I know this story might not seem like it's going anywhere, but it goes directly to a very important issue. So I took those loose papers and my bound papers, and I brought them here to Village Hall. And I needed someplace to take them apart.
This is riveting science that should be studied by more future students if it hasn't already. Wow, man. This is the pettiest of the petty.
I didn't want to stand in the hallway and take them apart and have them go all over because I'm not the most delicate person. So I went into Manager Anderson's office and I said, Manager Anderson, do you have a flat space where I can take my papers and unbind them and put the 2 new forms in? And
so there's a predator on the TV show To Catch a Predator. His name is Walter Babst. Walter B-A-B-S-T. If you do a Google search of Walter Babst, he looks a lot like this gentleman.
Number them up. And he said, sure, go over there to those cabinets over on the side and work there. Well, lo and behold, I don't know how else to say this, but someone wrote an email or a blog and accused me of taking the binder clips from the manager's office and proceeded to make a long explanation about how that makes me a bad person and that I'm thinking that I'm entitled to do things. And in no way, shape, or form did I take those binder clips. I already had them. And I started, and I thought, I'll just forget this. This is so stupid that I'm not even going to respond to it. But then somebody called me and said, you know, even if you did take those, it wouldn't be a big deal. And right then and there, I realized what was happening. Character assassination starts with little lies. And
Little
as
lies.
those lies, and then another little lie, and then another, and then it's easy to believe a big lie about someone if you believe.
It's kind of like the nugget of truth explanation that we get a lot from DSP, don't you think?
4 or 5 or 6 little lies. So I have to address this. I cannot let it go. I am an honest person. I do not borrow village equipment. I don't take village equipment. And for someone to say that I did is pathetic. And if you have any doubts about my story, there was another person in the room, and I think they will agree that I had binder clips when I came in, and that was the end of the story. I didn't need any.
I can't even
binder
make
clips.
jokes
Now, I
about
know
this. It's so
I'm
fucking
going long and I
petty.
sound excited, but I'm pretty proud of my character. I'm an honest person. All day long, I'm an honest person. And 60 years of honesty, I'm not going to let that be overcome by somebody who character
Yeah, he doesn't look too bad for 60, you got to say. He looks pretty good for 60.
assassinates me with lies, and it's a lie. I did not touch a village binder clip, and for someone to say that I did, and that makes me entitled, and I feel like I
This is poor woman who's taking the official minutes for these, having to note this drivel.
can just do what I want is pathetic. And this has nothing to do with the upcoming election or anything like that. This is me right now as a village trustee being accused of something so stupid as that. And that's enough. I've said more than I wanted to say, but if you have any questions, there's somebody else sitting at this table who
Bill
said a lie,
Sarto.
and there's somebody else who
The
witnessed
floor
the
is
truth.
yours.
And you can ask them how that could have happened. That's the end of my report.
And just to answer the woman who came forward to talk about the blog site, and you know, for those that are not aware of it, it's my personal blog site. It's not a village blog site.
Told you.
It's my own, and that blog site is used for personal issues. I do talk about village matters on there as well, but it also things that pertain to the village. So there is some politics involved in some of those postings. But to say that that information is from the village, it's not from the village. It's a personal blog site that I run personally. So, and in answer to Trustee Ritter, I stand by everything that's on that blog site, and I put it out there because it is the truth. And I am also 60 years old, and if Trustee Ritter wants to, put his 60 years up against my 60 years of
Ooh, that sounds to me like a threat to fight right there.
honesty, and if Trustee Ritter wants to, put his 60 years up against my 60 years of honesty, I'll match him day for day, year for year. So,
They want to fight so badly.
I think.
I would like to inform everyone
Million men humiliated in reference.
here, and also those great legal residents and U.S. citizens who weren't able to make it here but may be watching this in their homes, of what I am calling a public service announcement. This Saturday, August 11th, members of Minutemen Midwest, of which I am a proud card-carrying member of and also the vice president of this group, members of the Chicago Minuteman Project, and IFIRE, which is the Indiana Federation for Immigration Reform and Enforcement, are holding a demonstration at the Chicago office of the NCLR. For those of you who don't know what the NCLR is, let me explain. This is the National Council of La Raza. La Raza, for those of you who don't understand a foreign language, means the race. In other words, the National Council of the Race. What race, might you be asking? According to their website, they are the largest national Hispanic civil rights and advocacy organization in the United States.
These people have nothing but fire coming out, and they should rightfully have that. They have nothing but ire, and I wish they could have said beat the shit out of this dick.
They work to improve opportunities for Hispanic Americans. What they don't tell you is that they are also one of the biggest supporters of illegal aliens. They don't distinguish between legal and illegal. Anyway, we'll be demonstrating in front of their Chicago office, which is located at 161 North Clark Street, right there in beautiful downtown Chicago. We'll be there from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. If you don't have plans for Saturday and would like to come out and join us, by all means, please do. Bring an American flag, meet some great American citizens, show this what I call...
He does have the most patriotic mullet, though, and look at this belly. Don't you love how the flag should normally be square, but like he's stretched out the stars and bars? You should have wore vertical stripes when you're fat, my dude.
The racist National Council of La Raza, that there are more legal residents and U.S. citizens who care about our country than the illegal aliens that they care about. Thank you.
Here comes the joke.
Terry, next person, please.
Grant Kroll.
So the guy who's stepping up to the podium now is Grant Crowell, the gentleman who posted these videos. A big shout out to Grant Crowell for making all this madness recorded to history. Let's see what he has to say.
Do I really get a whole hour to speak? I think I have a special. Okay. Well, it's the first time. It's okay. I'm sorry. When I hear the word Minutemen, somehow in my head I picture a support group for men who just come too quickly, but that's me.
Oh my God.
Only one.
That was out of line what he just said.
All right. Seriously.
I agree with you. It was.
Well, why didn't you gavel him?
You already said it.
You could have corrected him.
The circus has come to town, people.
There you go. The circus has come to town. All right, so that's the last one in this collection of videos about the worst of Carpentersville, Illinois. I guess the main takeaway that I would say to get from the videos, if you made it this far, is that there was just this whole body of dysfunction. And it was amazing to have it captured so long ago, because in those earlier days of YouTube, like my account, I think I made it in 2006. You didn't find a lot of stuff like that out there. So it's about documentation, I think, from 15 or so years ago. But I'm now babbling, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is bring the music up, take care of the final stream business, and close it out. Thanks to those of you who may be watching now, or to anyone who may be watching in the future. I hope you enjoy. Have a great weekend.